Sawing a person in half. The sawing a person in half trick is a classic in the magician's repertoire, dating back to the early 20th century. Here's how it generally works. A magician places an assistant inside a box or on a table. The assistant's body seems to fill the entire space. The magician then saws through the middle of the box, often inserting metal dividers to ostensibly separate the two halves. To the audience, it appears as if the assistant has been cut in two. Break time equals 1.5s/. The secret lies in the design of the box and the flexibility of the assistant. The box may have a hidden compartment or be designed to accommodate the assistant in a way that makes them appear to be lying straight when they are actually curled up or positioned differently. In some versions, there might even be two assistants involved, one for the upper half and one for the lower half of the body. After the sawing, the magician seemingly restores the assistant, who emerges unharmed, much to the relief and delight of the audience. This trick plays on basic human fears, and the relief of seeing the assistant whole again adds to its dramatic impact. The levitation of a person. Levitation illusions make it seem as if a person is floating in the air without any support. This trick can be performed using several methods, but one common technique involves a hidden mechanical device like a lift or hoist, which is cleverly concealed from the audience's view. This device is typically controlled by the magician or an assistant backstage. Another popular method involves the use of mirrors placed strategically to create the illusion that the stage is empty when, in fact, it supports the levitating person. The performer might also use wires that are extremely thin and difficult to see from a distance or under stage lighting. These wires can be attached to a harness worn by the person being levitated. Levitation taps into the human fascination with flying and defying gravity. It challenges our understanding of physical laws and encourages us to believe in the impossible. Beyond just the technical execution, good levitation acts are often accompanied by narrative or theatrical elements that enhance the sense of mystery and magic. Click subscribe to this channel to get more topics you love. The disappearance of the Statue of Liberty. David Copperfield's illusion involving the disappearance of the Statue of Liberty is one of the most audacious magic tricks ever performed. Performed in 1983, the trick involved a live audience seated on a platform facing the iconic statue. Copperfield raised a giant curtain blocking the statue from view, and when the curtain was lowered, the statue appeared to have vanished into thin air. The trick hinged on the use of misdirection and optical illusion. The platform on which the audience was seated subtly and slowly rotated. The movement was so slight that those seated didn't feel it happening. When the curtain was raised, the Statue of Liberty was directly in front of them. By the time it was lowered, the platform had rotated enough that the statue was obscured by the towers of lights, making it seem as if it had disappeared. The audience's line of sight was crucial. The trick wouldn't work without precise positioning. This illusion not only demonstrated Copperfield's mastery of large-scale spectacle but also played on themes of visibility and invisibility, showing how easily reality can be manipulated and perceptions altered. It was a powerful metaphor for the idea that seeing is not always believing. Walking on water. Criss Angel's Walking on Water illusion brings a biblical miracle to the modern stage. Performed in a pool with a clear view for spectators around, Angel appears to casually walk across the water's surface without sinking. This trick relies heavily on the use of a clear, sturdy platform just beneath the water's surface. These platforms are nearly invisible to the audience, giving the illusion that he is walking on water. The platforms are designed to be as discreet as possible, with careful attention paid to the water's clarity and the lighting to prevent reflections or shadows that might reveal the trick. Additionally, the angles at which the audience views the performance are controlled to avoid revealing the platforms. This illusion taps into deep cultural and spiritual narratives, evoking the famous story of Jesus walking on water. It challenges viewers to question the boundaries between the possible and the impossible, leveraging a mix of ancient myth and modern technology to captivate and astonish. The bullet catch. The bullet catch is one of the most dangerous magic tricks ever performed, known as much for its fatalities as its spectacle. The magician appears to catch a bullet fired directly at them, typically using a small cup or plate held in their mouth or hand. The risk and apparent defiance of death are what make this trick so compelling. The secret often involves a combination of sleight of hand and mechanical trickery. Before the performance, a real bullet may be shown to the audience and marked for identification. However, during the trick, this bullet is secretly swapped with a fake one, or the gun is modified to shoot a blank. Meanwhile, the magician secretly loads a previously fired bullet, the one shown to the audience, into their mouth or onto the plate. The audience hears the bang, sees the flash, but the bullet they find is the one they marked, not one that has been fired during the performance. This trick plays on the universal human themes of life, death, and survival. Each performance is a dramatic play about escaping the clutches of death, which resonates deeply with audiences, reminding them of their mortality and the thin line between life and death. The Zig Zag Lady. The Zig Zag Lady is an illusion created by magician Robert Harbin in which a woman steps into a vertical cabinet, only to have her middle section apparently displaced when sliding panels are inserted. The assistant inside the cabinet seems to be divided into 3 pieces, yet continues to move her hands and feet, proving she is still alive and intact. The cabinet used in this illusion is specially constructed with multiple compartments that hide the assistant's body. The middle section where the assistant's body zigzags out actually has a hidden space for her to tuck her body away that isn't visible to the audience. The sliding panels are a misdirection that make it seem as if they are cutting through her, but they actually slide into the empty spaces around her. This illusion taps into the fascination with bodily integrity and the shock value of seeing a human body in an impossible configuration. It challenges our perceptions of space and human anatomy, making us question what is and isn't possible. The trick also plays on our fears of bodily harm while providing the relief of the unharmed assistant at the end. The Chinese water torture cell. The Chinese water torture cell is one of Houdini's most famous escape acts, designed to evoke intense suspense and fear. In this illusion, Houdini would be suspended upside down with his feet locked in stocks at the top of a glass-fronted tank filled with water. The key to the trick wasn't just the escape itself, but the dramatic tension built by the potential for drowning. The secret to Houdini's success lay in his ability to pick locks and free himself from restraints quickly and discreetly. Inside the tank, Houdini would use hidden lockpicks to unlock the stocks or, in some versions, the locks were designed to open with pressure applied in the right way. The tank and stocks were specially constructed to appear secure but allowed Houdini enough leeway to execute his escape. This trick taps into primal fears of confinement and suffocation, dramatizing a struggle for survival against seemingly insurmountable odds. Houdini's acts often symbolized human resilience and the power of ingenuity, appealing to the universal desire for freedom and triumph over adversity. Metamorphosis. Metamorphosis, another classic from Houdini, involves a rapid exchange of places between the magician and an assistant. Initially, the magician is bound and placed in a sack, which is then locked inside a trunk. The assistant stands on the trunk, lifts a curtain, and in a split second, it is the magician who is standing there, with the assistant now bound inside the sack within the trunk. The trick hinges on both speed and precision. The trunk used is specially designed with a hidden trapdoor that allows the magician to escape and re-enter quickly. The sack and restraints are also rigged to enable a quick release and closure, facilitating a swift and seamless exchange. The real magic is in the swift movements that are too quick for the audience to follow. Metamorphosis plays on themes of transformation and the unexpected. It visually represents the idea of change and reversal, resonating with the human experience of sudden shifts in life circumstances. This trick not only showcases physical agility and coordination but also metaphorically speaks to the potential within everyone to change swiftly and surprisingly. The floating light bulb. The floating light bulb, made famous by Harry Blackstone Sr., is a classic example of an illusion that combines technical ingenuity with theatrical flair. In this trick, a light bulb is lit and then begins to float over the heads of the audience, seemingly under the magician's control. The mechanism behind this illusion typically involves the use of a thin, almost invisible wire. The wire is attached to the light bulb and runs through a complex system of pulleys, controlled by the magician or an offstage assistant. The wire is carefully chosen to be difficult to see under stage lighting conditions, and the path of the floating bulb is choreographed to avoid angles that might reveal the wire. This trick plays on the fascination with the control of light and energy, elements that are both fundamental and mysterious. It evokes a sense of wonder about the forces that govern the physical world and our ability to manipulate them. The illusion is not just a demonstration of hidden mechanical prowess but also a metaphor for enlightenment and the illumination of the mind. The linking rings. The linking rings is one of the oldest and most cherished illusions in the realm of magic. Typically, the magician presents several solid metal rings, demonstrating their solidity and separateness. Then, with a series of precise movements, the rings begin to link with each other, forming chains and complex configurations, only to be just as mysteriously unlinked again. The secret to this illusion lies in one or more of the rings being cleverly crafted with a small gap that is not easily visible to the audience. This gap allows the rings to be connected and disconnected quietly and swiftly, with the magician deftly concealing the gap with their fingers or by distraction techniques. The skill in performing the linking rings effectively comes not just from hiding the gap but in the fluid, graceful movements that make the process appear magical. The linking rings symbolize connection and unity, resonating on a human level as it visually represents the forging of relationships and the complexity of human bonds. This illusion plays deeply on our desire for connection and the magic inherent in forming and dissolving bonds, alluding to the transient nature of human relationships. The Vanishing Birdcage. The Vanishing Birdcage is a classic magic trick where a birdcage with a live bird inside suddenly disappears from the magician's hands, often right in front of the audience's eyes. This trick combines elements of surprise with a dramatic flair. The mechanism involves a collapsible bird cage that is engineered to fold up quickly and smoothly at the magician's command. This is usually achieved through a complex system of springs and levers. The magician holds the cage in a way that conceals the triggering mechanism. When activated, the cage collapses into a much smaller form that can be swiftly and discreetly palmed or dropped into a secret pocket in the magician's coat or the stage itself. This illusion taps into themes of freedom and release, as the disappearance of the cage could symbolize the liberation of the confined bird, though in reality, the bird is rarely harmed and is typically secured and protected throughout the trick. It challenges our perceptions of reality and freedom, illustrating how easily what we perceive as solid and unchangeable can vanish or transform. The card through window. The card through window trick involves a spectator selecting a card, which is then shuffled back into the deck. The magician throws the deck against a window, and the selected card appears to stick to the glass from the outside, creating a moment of astonishment and disbelief. The secret typically involves a duplicate card and an accomplice. Before the performance, an identical card is placed on the outside of the window. During the trick, the magician uses sleight of hand to keep the selected card hidden or to discreetly pass it off to an accomplice who then places the card on the outside of the window at the right moment. This trick plays on the impossible becoming possible, breaking the physical barriers that we take for granted. It symbolizes how seemingly insurmountable barriers can be overcome with cleverness and timing, resonating with the human desire to break through limitations and discover what lies beyond the visible. The Levitation Illusion. The Levitation Illusion is a captivating spectacle where a person appears to float in midair with no visible means of support. This illusion has been performed in various forms, from street magic using apparent spontaneous setups to elaborate stage performances with hidden support structures. The secret behind many levitation tricks involves hidden mechanical devices like wires or supports that are cleverly concealed from the audience's view. In some stage setups, mirrors and strategically placed lighting are used to hide the supports. Another common method in street magic is the balducci levitation, where the magician positions themselves at an angle that makes it look like they are floating, but they are actually lifting themselves on one foot, hidden from the audience's view by the other foot. This illusion plays on the universal human dream of defying gravity and achieving flight. It taps into our fascination with the supernatural and the desire to break free from the earthly bounds, symbolizing liberation and transcendence. The sawing a woman in half illusion. One of the most iconic magic tricks, the sawing a woman in half illusion, has been a staple of magic shows for over a century. The magician appears to saw a person, usually a woman, in half inside a box and then magically restore her. The trick typically uses one of two main methods: the traditional method, where the box is large enough to accommodate two assistants, one for the head and arms, and one for the legs, or the modern thin model method, where special compartments and false panels allow a single assistant to contort and hide within the box. The saw or blade passes through a gap in the box that gives the illusion of cutting through the body. This illusion taps into deep-seated fears and fascinations with bodily integrity and harm, yet also reassures the audience by restoring the assistant unharmed. It plays with our perceptions of danger and relief, highlighting the thin line between reality and illusion. The Indian rope trick. The Indian rope trick is a legendary illusion reportedly performed in and around India. Stories tell of a magician who throws a rope into the air, where it remains stiff, allowing an assistant to climb it until they disappear. While there are many claims and stories, consistent and reliable documentation of the trick being performed as described is scarce. Modern interpretations suggest the use of a pole or a concealed structure to support the rope. In some stage adaptations, cleverly designed mechanical devices or supports are used to achieve a similar effect. This trick is imbued with a sense of mystery and the mystical, often considered a metaphor for spiritual ascension. The rope and the act of climbing evoke images of moving towards enlightenment or a higher state of consciousness, playing into both local cultural narratives and universal themes of growth and transcendence.